Let me introduce our next speaker. He's Aksenov. He leads U.S. operations for Digital Genius. They're a software company specializing in developing AI solutions to facilitate conversations between brands and consumers. And today, we're hoping you'll show us, because I read your paper, so we're hoping that you'll show us how AI is facilitating those conversations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ooh, that's loud. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Mikhail from Digital Genius. So we build artificial intelligence technology for brands. Essentially, what we've done is we've built a system that fully replicates human-like conversations between companies and their audience or their users or their customers. And we all remember back in the 90s when every company suddenly realized that they need a website. And then later on, every company realized they needed a blog. And recently, every company realized they need a Facebook page and a Twitter handle and whatever else. Well, the world is entering an era of cognitive computing where for the first time, computers can actually understand human language. And this opens up an opportunity of possibilities for brand-driven conversations. And this is what we're doing at Digital Genius. The beauty of our system is that unlike traditional research and communication methods, which are very time-structured, our conversations take place in real time. So imagine a brand communicating with thousands and tens of thousands of customers on the go in real time. And this allows for intelligent communication, which drives really deeply into each user to collect insights. So instead of just a regular ad, a regular tweet, a regular campaign where you're sending outbound information and then inviting people back to do surveys, we're having two-way communication where it's going back and forth in natural language. Our approach specifically focuses on conversation. So at the core of our system is a natural language processing engine, which takes real conversations that human beings have and breaks them down into structures, and it's able to actually understand what people are asking. And since we focus on advanced customer profiling, we're able to understand what they ask, who they are, and the deeper the conversation goes, the more interactions we have with the system, the more we learn about this person. Therefore, the deeper the insights can be. This can also be used in improving the sales process. So our engine is capable of doing sentiment analysis and recognizing different emotions. So a lot of times people convey emotions through the language they use, and because our system can understand natural language, we can pick up on cues whether somebody's excited or bored or whatever it is, or excited about maybe learning more about the product. And we can collect these buying signals and convey them back to the brand to explain to them and share with them what excites people about their product and what some of the pain points are. So for today, we'll talk a little bit about Digital Genius application and just artificial intelligence in general for market research. I'll roll a quick slide. Alex, slide 6, please. We took a hypothetical example of a random company.
Here's why artificial intelligence is the way forward for market research. To start with, researchers are expensive, and they can only reach a limited number of people. Their job's even more difficult in developing countries. In contrast, a fully automated, artificially intelligent mobile phone-based system from Digital Genius can reach 6 billion people. That's more than 85% of the world's population. Another problem of traditional research methods is that they're very generic and do not provide deep insights into the customer's minds. They're typically used to simply rate things, rather than understand the behavior behind these ratings. Digital Genius Artificial Intelligence can generate tens of thousands of bespoke questions to understand the user's thinking in detail. It will tailor each question to the context of the conversation. And finally, traditional research relies on the memory and often fails to collect genuine answers days after actual experience. An artificial intelligence system, on the other hand, is always available in your pocket and can capture exact behavior in real time, significantly reducing the potential time-influenced error. Here's an example of how it works. Imagine you've received an invitation to participate in Nor's market research, which involves cooking a mushroom stroganoff dish.
And this is a hypothetical example.
Here's what a user journey may look like. But here's another user who's cooking a different dish, chicken with gravy. He'll have a different journey.
So although the ingredients are different, our system recognizes the different ingredients and continues a conversation specifically on this user's profile. And this could be scaled up to tens of thousands of simultaneous recipes. So in the end, instead of writing 1,000 questions ahead of time and trying to predict what the customer is going to be doing, we have tens of thousands of journeys that we can take these customers through.
And they both can rate their experience using the conventional rating systems, but will still follow different paths. Results of all questionnaires are available immediately in the online dashboard. Marketeers can view trends, set up new questions that they want to ask, or follow specific conversations. And it's not just for cooking. Imagine how this system can help to understand customer behavior in cosmetics, hair products, home care, and more. We believe that artificial intelligence is the future. Join the future today.
Great. Thank you, Alex. If we go back to the presentation. We're gonna move ahead. Okay, so 3 problems in market research that we're trying to solve. First and foremost is the traditional researcher it can be very expensive and has very limited reach, especially if you're working in developing countries or you're trying to test something in a demographic that's not easily accessible. So imagine sending a sample of products to Ghana. It would be very expensive, and there would be other concerns with sending a team of researchers there. With our system, we can deploy this in any part of the world to affect more than 6 billion people that have access to a basic telephone, for example. The second concern is with traditional research is a lot of times it's rating based and it's pre-structured. Our system is quite different. It doesn't depend on ratings and preset definitions. Instead, it communicates with the user in natural language. And lastly, traditional research is oftentimes time constrained, and for this reason people will forget how the product tasted or how it felt when they used it when you actually get them back to talk about it. Whereas with our system, this is a virtual researcher in your pocket, so any time that they're using the product, or even if they just thought of something later on, they can just send a quick message or interact with our application and give us their feedback right there. So for some of the things we learned from some of the clients we work with is the wide reach. So the example of deploying this technology in a hard-to-reach location, it's quite popular. Capturing emotions as opposed to just ratings of 1 through 10, being able to actually understand when somebody's excited about a feature or when somebody's really upset about a feature, and adjusting it accordingly. And lastly, leading us to unexpected insights. So being able to get questions to answers we never even thought to ask in the first place, which only became relevant and which only became apparent through these conversations that our system had with the user. We also work with major financial services institutions, helping their relationship managers better understand their clients, integrating a virtual concierge into the digital banking environment, creating a situation where somebody can ask, hey, how much money did I spend on my car this month? And getting a really customized report back to them in natural language. Within the automotive industry, we had a really cool use case. One of our favorite clients is BMW in the UK, and they're using our system in every single advertisement for their new electric vehicle, the i3 and the i8. So in this case, when they put the vehicle out, they correctly predicted that people would have a lot of concerns and questions about the electric vehicle. Like, how far does it go on one charge? Where do I charge it? How much does it cost? And because it's not really clear and they didn't want to hire an entire call center to handle these phone calls, we built them a system that could answer any question about the vehicle, whether it's a technical specification, where they can buy one, what color does it come in, and a number of other questions, allowing us to capture this information and identify the pain points these potential customers would have, and pass that information on to BMW as well as the dealers so they can have it ahead of time. And also, for example, if you say, hey, I'm interested in the i3, does it come in the color blue, or where can I buy one? Our system will know to ask, what is your zip code, and then provide you with the contact information of the local dealership and ask you if you want to schedule a test drive. So it's pretty cool. Customers really love that. Alec, could we please play video for slide 19?
For each of us, there comes a time to turn the corner and move forward.
You can see our system embedded in the bottom right corner as a simple shortcode SMS where anybody in the UK can send a text message to this number asking any question they want about the vehicle.
Fiber construction to deliver a new form of driving pleasure. The time to become electric is now.
So in the end, we can cut the video. In the end, we see that artificial intelligence really is the way to move forward, both with marketing and market research, and it can have some really profound implications, especially in the field of market research, because for the first time we can have thousands and tens of thousands of natural human-like conversations between the brand and consumers. And since our system is modular, we can build out solutions for specific verticals that don't require as much computing power as you see in these huge artificial intelligence engines. So that's what we're doing at Digital Genius. We're wildly excited about what's happening, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
We want to make them work, so we'd like a question from over there after this.
Hey, this is all great stuff. I was wondering, to what extent have you automated validation of the participant, where in terms of both the photos that they send as well as what they're saying, make sure they're not taking like a photo of their foot, or just trying to get the credit?
Right. So I would say the first use case is the language. So whenever we receive text languages, our system takes the answer through an 11-step process to understand exactly what they're saying. So we're able to break down the structure of their language and then understand it. And we only give them a response if the accuracy factor is above 99.5%. And if it doesn't reach that point, which happens very rarely, we actually can ask a clarification questions of, oh, is this what you meant, or can you elaborate? And then dive deeper and then give them the appropriate response. Pictures is really interesting. We have people sending us selfies of themselves, for example, showing the type of hair they have, and then we can put it through our engine and validate, as you said, through a huge library that we have in place, and then give them recommendations for the type of products they should use for a certain event they might have to style their hair properly. I can't talk too much about this use case, unfortunately, publicly yet, but it is one that's very exciting and allows these product manufacturers to engage with people in a very intimate way at the time when it's most important to them, for example, before an important interview or a date. Thank you.
Good. Other questions?
Actually, I have a question. Zeno, I have the microphone. To what degree does this need to be tweaked for dialects and specific languages? I mean, even the difference between the UK, United States, Canada, etc.
Absolutely. So the way the system was built originally actually makes it very easy for it to learn new languages. We can just plug in new structures. So the only challenges really arise between different language groups. So a lot of languages have similar structures. Within those groups, we can deploy very quickly. If we have a different language group altogether, for example, when we did Mandarin, it took us a little bit longer, but we were still able to accomplish it. In one very cool use case, we're deploying a technology in a country that within the country has 10 different dialects, and our system is able to adapt to the specific dialects of the person using the system, even though it's in the same country. Right now, we have 10 languages that we can use.
What kind of domain expertise has to be put? For example, for the zip code example you gave, how is it kind of a rule-based engine where somebody comes and put those rules, or how does that?
Yeah, there's very little rule-based. A lot of it is machine learning algorithms that take massive amounts of data provided to us by the clients. So in the BMW example, they were the ones that had to provide us with hundreds of pages of product specifications about the new i3, and we were then able to feed this information to our system which then will use the algorithm to learn, break down the language structures, and set it up in a way where if anybody asks questions, no matter how specific about what zip code or what car, our system can then piece together the appropriate response and respond in the way that the consumer is communicating. So if it's a very techie question, if somebody's using techie language about like the engine, we can respond in a techie way. If somebody's using more fun language, we can respond accordingly. We get some really funny answers once in a while, so we could go in many different directions. Yes?
I was just curious because you were comparing it to surveys. It seems a lot like a way of just setting the stage for a meeting with your customer. Like they learn about the person, and then they know that that person responded, and then they can talk to them accordingly. And when we do surveys, we're often like we have a set of rules that we adhere because surveys are viewed as confidential.
Yep.
Like in the European Union, or even in the US, we need to put privacy policies up. We get in a lot of trouble if any kind of secure information is provided. Do people have an expectation? Do they see this as a dialogue that there's going to be a follow-up, or do they think they're doing a survey when they do this?
Yeah, excellent question, because information and privacy is actually one of the most important things to our company, to us, because of the nature of the specific conversations we have with people. So we take this very, very seriously. As far as how the customers perceive this, whether it's a survey or a conversation, actually, most of them don't really know that they're talking to a robot in many cases. So in some cases, we've actually had to introduce an artificial delay because it doesn't make sense to ask a question and get a response in a quarter of a second. It's not natural. It's not the way humans communicate, so we've introduced this to make it more human-like. And with regard to the people that were actually using this system, so if you're a brand and you're launching a new product and you're sending out 500 samples of this new product you want people to use, well, this sample can now come with a small short code, which then everybody can use to text their experience or to. We have voice, we have 12 different channels of communication we can use, including social media, which is less private, whereas SMS is a lot more private. It's just between them and the brand. So, for instance, somebody that you want to ask, hey, is this food too spicy? You might get, in a survey, you might get the response, yes. But can you imagine, is this a person that just hates spicy food, so even the slightest bit of spice is too much? Or is this somebody that normally is okay with spicy food and it's too spicy for them? We can drill really deep to gather all of these insights from these long, human-like conversations.
Do people, the consumers, expect a follow-up?
In some cases, I think.
Like, is there an understanding that they'll be followed up, or?
Yeah, there's an expectation of a conversation, but which we can lead from our end, and we work with the brand and the copywriters to write things. If there's a specific language that the brand wants to use, for example, BMW has a specific consumer they want to appeal to, so they use a specific language. So in the video I showed, after they cooked the dish, we were able to send them a message that said, "Enjoy your meal, bon appetit. We'll ask you tomorrow how it went, or we'll ask you in an hour of how it was."
Do you have a privacy policy that people go to see, or is that?
Yes.
Okay, so they click on it and they see it.
Especially in the banking sector, we work with about 12 of the global banks, and they take privacy very, very seriously. So because of this, privacy and compliance is like at the very top of our priority list. Although a lot of the use cases that we use are quite fun, and the users love using this, instead of filling out a traditional survey or receiving a phone call even, or going somewhere for a focus group, they can just do it from the comfort of their own home. When they're thinking about the brand, they can communicate their feelings and sentiments back to us. And then we can create the reports and send it to the brand. Thank you so much. If anybody has other questions, I don't know if we're out of time, but I'll be around for the rest of the day.
Take another question if anybody's got one.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm just very interested in how you're getting your different participants. So it sounds like on something like BMW, people are opting in.
Yep.
They're seeing something and they're doing
Yeah.
that. But with, say, the cooking, thank you, or something else, are you recruiting people in a different way? So what are the different ways you're getting hold of people?
Sure. So the beauty of the system is that almost everybody I know has a phone. We're fortunate. And in this case, anybody that has a phone can actually use our system. So it's really up to the brand of who they want to engage with. So for example, in a product launch case, for like the BMW, they put it on an advertisement so anybody in the UK can text this number and have this conversation. And right after the ad premiered, we were processing hundreds of simultaneous conversations, which really no call center in the world could really handle on an ongoing basis, whereas our system deploys at scale. So there's really no limit to how many people. I think in one graphic I showed 6 billion people. We'd love to deploy for 6 billion people, but a lot of times the brands have a specific preference. They want to only test it with 1,000 people or 5,000 people, in which case we can just adjust accordingly. And the other use case, which is interesting to your question, is the deployment in social media, because social media is kind of much more public, much more accessible, so lots more people can get access to it, and we can easily integrate and use this as a communication channel for a brand.
Good, thanks, Mikhail.
Thank you very much.